and then putting it in a form that can be shared with them, then they can start to use it through what we call next steps, but it basically is a way of working out and mapping them into the next level of their learning, etc. Okay, and part of that is creating this universal skill set and then having these achievements on chain so they can be accessed by many different people. Okay, and that's the core dimension of it. So essentially decentralizing learning communities.
I have Mark here from SelfDriven to talk about his project, and everything around the ecosystem that he's building up is quite an interesting one around the education space. And I'm glad Mark is here to talk all the way through it and to talk through how he's funding it with Project Catalyst as well. So lots of things to go through here. So Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Pete. Glad to be here.
So let's talk through what you are building here with your team and get a really good overview so we can understand what on earth is going on.
So there's a number of aspects to this, of which the core part is helping traditional education move to more project-based learning, okay, which is then allows them to capture more of the authentic learning that occurs in our young learner's life. And then part of that is then also about teaching young people about the value of decentralized frameworks and society, okay? And we do that through a number of ways. The first thing we needed to do was essentially capture the skills and achievements that are occurring within that learning community, okay? So, and then put that in a form that allows it to be shared. And one of the best ways that we can do that is through obviously using a blockchain like Cardano. Okay, so creating up the skills and the achievements that are being verified by the learning partners and then allowing them to be shared on the blockchain like Cardano. Okay, so there's a number of aspects to it. We've got a team that is focused on research and what that actually takes and what that looks like. We're running pilots at the moment with high school students around understanding what their needs are and then how it actually works with it. We've run a number of pilots. So these apps exist, they're running. And late last year, we started to run some pilots with some high schools in Australia and got some phenomenal responses. It was amazing to see. We're talking about a 14-year-old here. So in Australia, that's like year 9 and year 10 students that were essentially given access to the app. They were given a link to a guide that got them onto the app. And essentially, we had these project templates. Okay, they cloned a project template that has all the outcomes, all the rules, all the tasks they have to do, and they worked their way through that project. Okay, and they could actually then the learning partner sort of flipped roles where the learning partner was there to support them and help them and guide them, but they were taking control of their learning and enabling some of that agency. The other part of that, which was exciting, was they then started to set up their own wallets in Cardano and get an understanding of what that meant. And then using things like decentralized IDs, we gave them a token, which they bound to their wallet. And then at the end of the process, when their learning partner through the app had verified their skills and what level of skills they'd achieved, whether they're and these skills we're talking about here are not just the technical skills, but the who am I skills, the grit, the other types of skills, the curiosity. And we have sort of 4 levels of that through some sort of aware of a skill, capable, knowledgeable, and natural. Okay, so we're starting to map these skills. And then once they're verified by the learning partner, they then get put onto chain, onto Cardano as achievements. Okay, and then they can be basically shared with the people that need those. And a big part of this was our research when we started talking to universities here in Australia and 2 key universities here. They the summarized scores that traditional education produces at the end of learning. In Australia, it's called ATAR or VCE. They were finding just didn't really help them work out what course a young person should do, okay, because it's very one-dimensional. So what we started to talk to them about is if we're capturing all these skills during the learner's journey and then putting it in a form that can be shared with them, then they can start to use it through what we call next steps, but it basically is a way of working out and mapping them into the next level of their learning, etc. Okay, and part of that is creating this universal skill set and then having these achievements on chain so they can be accessed by many different people. Okay, and that's the core dimension of it. So essentially decentralizing learning communities, and that's the first step.
Okay, there's quite a lot of interesting aspects in there, and I just want to dig into a couple of them. So first of all, you mentioned I can't remember the term that you used exactly, but the product module or something that the students could take. I'm just trying to envisage what that looks like for the student, and what are they going through in terms of their learning, and what are they discovering through that process. Because at the end of it, they create a wallet and get an SSID and stuff. But what's that first initial part look like?
So this is a traditional project within the learning. So we were working within their industrial arts organizer group within the school, and they're actually doing a major project, a project that they're doing over 6 months, where they're starting to manage the tasks and the getting an understanding, the accountability to build something. So literally building something in the real world. Okay, using 3D printers and stuff like that, and then working through what it takes to do that. But rather than the teacher guiding them every step, they're doing that themselves. Okay,
gotcha.
And at the end of it, and what's really exciting too, which disparity is, they are learning also to self-assess themselves. So when they actually finish the project or a task, they grade themselves as to how well they think they went in that. And then the learning partner, the teacher, when I say learning partner in a traditional sense, it's teacher, gets to see through the app how they've graded themselves. And essentially part of their verification can be, do I agree with you? And also, if you think you did really well at a task and I didn't, what does that mean about your own self-awareness and things like that? Okay. And then secondary to that, they're creating their wallet. And understanding that the fact that then these credentials can be self-managed by them going forward, because that app is obviously a Web 2 app at the moment.
And how did the kids react to being offered this like technology, especially with the SSID and crypto wallets? There'll be completely new things for them, as well as the arts project, the 3D printing and manufacturing. It's all new aspects for them.
Yeah, it was quite amazing. And I actually was at another high school recently, and they got the technology, but what was interesting as part of the conversation, we started to talk about World Mobile, okay, and some of the utility of it and how they can actually, it can be the basis of it. So very quickly, they were able to self-set up their wallet. Back when we did it in December, they were using Eternal, but some of them are using Lace now. It doesn't really matter. And they were quite comfortable with doing that themselves, and then started to understand, what that meant in terms of control, but then also how it allows them to connect to other learners around the world, and through what we call our growth cycle, essentially help other people in the world through the platform. Okay, and the importance of infrastructure, like what Mobile is doing, and then they could say, "Oh, we could do some things here," because part of our program is some of the what we call the self-driven community tokens. So within a community, based on their positive learning experiences, they can earn credits, which can be used, in the classic sense, to get food from the canteen. But what was really, really interesting when we spoke to them about that and this idea through the growth cycle, that actually they could put that into a smart contract, which then could be fed into something like directed ed, that could then help learners on the other side through the conversion of that. The credits there into JED or into ADA could actually help a learner in a developing nation. That really fired them up, and it really fired them up across all the different types of learners, as you do. The ones that really want to be at school and the ones that typically don't want to be at school, some of them, they all we're all got lit up by that level of humanity. It was interesting. And actually the short-term reward of getting food, and they actually surprised a couple of the principals that have been involved. They would have put money on them wanting to get the food, but actually it was quite exciting, quite energizing to see the level of humanity and the ability that they can actually help other people around the world through the framework like the blockchain. So they really got it. Yeah, really exciting.
That's amazing. It's amazing to see that level of engagement, and the students are embracing the technology and knowing that they themselves can make some sort of impact. So that's really good to see. Now, you've got a whole bunch of proposals for Catalyst to help fund this and keep it going. Everything from developing the platform a little bit further, integrating SSIs and making that better, as well as proposals around the Atala Prism side of things, the identity side of things. Can you talk us through a couple of the highlight ones here that would really help you guys get to the next level and allow these students to up their education and really improve the app?
Yeah, definitely. So, when we started 3-4 years ago, then SSI and Atala Prism was obviously in its early days. So essentially built our own token metadata, if you like, and our SDI tokens, identity tokens and SDA tokens. So the first part of these proposals is aligning our tokens with, our SDI, essentially aligning it as a DID, and our SDA as a verifiable credential. And it obviously makes a lot of sense within the Cardano ecosystem then to align that with the Atala Prism protocols, okay, so that we can then all work together. So some of the initiatives that are happening in Africa where learners are being given DIDs, etc., would then naturally just link into what we're doing here. And then once we have that aspect, then we would up the app, which is what one of the proposals is for. Is to finish that work, allowing the students to sign in fully with their wallet, use their DID, and then work it through the system that way. Okay. Then also we have a research program in. So before that step, if you like, we would do some research around Atala Prism and how it best would work in learning communities, because SelfDriven is completely open source, public domain. Just a lot of the things we want to do here aren't necessarily about our app. Our app is just a way of showing it to people and the way it works and making it work within a traditional one. But everything we produce here obviously can help anyone dealing with a learning community as you want to move them into more decentralized learning. So one of the proposals that would be done by Benjamin is about Atala Prism and how it can work within learning communities. We would then apply it into our app, as I just spoke about. Our app is, again, all open source, so you can use that code if you want to, or you can build your own app using our API or any other framework you want. And then another proposal we have is like mav100.org, which is a group out in New York that's doing work with students around creating their own stake pools and things like that. So we want to do a pilot with them where the skills that they are learning, we can record in a simplified version of that called Level Up. So they would then, beautifully be having their wallet, creating their stake pool, and then recording their skills on Cardano blockchain as well, to be shareable and verifiable by other people. And then two other proposals above that, which then take that work and they contextualize it in terms of, firstly, self-governed DAOs, if you like. So the beauty of schools are these little communities, and one way to teach students about the value of decentralized communities or society is to actually do it within their microcosm of a school. Okay, so that paper is around how does a school actually implement a lot of these ideas about society that their learners will then take out into the broader community, which is what that final proposal is around the path to decentralized self-driven communities. Okay, as we continue to come back to our communities, if you like, which was obviously accelerated through the pandemic. But as we continue now to do that, and obviously all the other things going on with AI and stuff like that, where we are essentially coming back to our communities. So there's 5 proposals that all stack up on top of each other. But again, some will be research papers and implementation papers, and some will be inside the app.
All right, so there's quite a bit there to go through, and I did start reading through them, and I just didn't have the time to go through every last single one. But I'm glad we did this video so we can get a really good overview of the platform and everything that you guys are building out there for the students and SSI, self-governance, and everything around it. And this kind of really is an evolution of education. It's it's been a long time since I've been in school. So, and I've seen the schooling system change quite a bit. So this really is quite a change to how things are done. Instead of being force-fed something, kids are now being given the power to learn themselves and take them through their own education and self-rating and all these things. It's very different to how we were brought up, I think.
Definitely, yeah. And our human purpose is driven by agency and mastery. So the more we can have agency over our life, the more we'll have purpose. And this all links, obviously, to well-being and all the things that are going on within traditional developed nations, but obviously huge opportunities in all sorts of different nations, particularly developing nations who have an opportunity, to leapfrog some of the things that we went through in our industrialized learning, if you like, and actually build out these more community, where they can establish their own economic identity through skill identity and things like that. Very exciting.
Right. Most definitely. All right, Mark, thank you for joining me on this podcast episode and taking us through everything around the Self-Driven platform. And it's good luck with the voting process. So we're going through reviews at the moment. So this is a long, lengthy process, but good luck with the votes, and hopefully a lot of people support some of these proposals for you.
We hope so. Thank you, Peter, and thanks for the time.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.